Big 2 News at 5 starts now.
Good evening, and thank you for choosing Big 2 News tonight. I'm Jay Plyburn. Topping our news this evening, an Odessa teen was killed in an accident that happened early this morning. Right around 3:30, Odessa police and fire crews responded to a major accident at Highway 191 and East Loop 338. Witnesses say that a 2005 Nissan Pathfinder was traveling eastbound at a high rate of speed along the 191 service road. The driver, 17-year-old Daniel Kobos, lost control of the vehicle, struck the median, went airborne, and collided with a telephone pole. He was taken to Medical Center Hospital, where he later died from the injuries sustained in that accident. Well, after deliberating for nearly 8 hours, a Midland jury finally delivered a sentence of 28 years in prison to a man convicted of causing a fatal crash. That's the punishment that was handed down to Miguel Hernandez following a traffic accident that happened in December of last year. 21-year-old Robert David Libinson was killed in that accident after Hernandez ran a red light at Loop 250 in Midkiff and struck his vehicle. It was later discovered that Hernandez was driving with a blood alcohol level of .21. He was found guilty of murder this Wednesday and was sentenced yesterday evening. Hernandez will also pay a total of $20,000 in fines. Well, Midland police have made an arrest in connection with the death of Ronnie Lee Randolph. Just before 9:30 this morning, 22-year-old Rashad Bell was arrested at 303 Rocky Lane. He's been charged with murder, and his bond is currently set at $100,000. This all stems from a collision at Illinois and Powell last week that severely injured Donald Clark and killed Ronnie Lee Randolph. 25-year-old Sabrina Kalinowski remains in a Lubbock hospital, but she will be re-questioned by Midland police at a later date. 33-year-old Tony Lopez is still a person of interest in regards to the murder. She's also the main suspect in a stolen vehicle case that was reported to the Midland County Sheriff's Department. Lopez allegedly stole a Suburban, which caused the deadly accident on October 14th. And an Odessa man has been arrested and charged in connection with a burglary of a habitation. According to the Odessa American, 21-year-old Rocky Rojo is being held at the Ector County Detention Center following reports that he and another man stole $1,800 worth of electronics and $400 cash from a house in the 1400 block of North Lauderdale Avenue. The men were caught on surveillance cameras. Rojo eventually admitted to the crime. He's now being held on $100,000 bond. Well, 9 days ago, a chemical tanker collided with a school bus in Reagan County, sending 7 kids to the hospital. Now, the parents of 4 of those children are suing the driver of that truck. Jesus and Elena Maldonado sued Brandon Kane for damages after their kids were badly injured in that crash. Kane told investigators he fell asleep behind the wheel before smashing into the bus, which was stopped with its lights flashing while letting off students north of Big Lake. 2 of the Maldonado's children are still in the hospital after surgeries for leg fractures and internal injuries. Their other 2 kids are out of the hospital, but one has a broken leg and the other has neck and back injuries. Well, human trafficking is the #2 crime behind drug dealing in the nation, and after yesterday's bust on a prostitution ring involving young women here in Midland, law enforcement around the basin are taking action. Big 2's Jackie Smith is live with more. Now, Jackie, what exactly do law enforcement officers plan on doing?
The Basin is creating a human rights task force to fight human trafficking. Trafficking is not something new to the Basin or around the United States, and with more cases being reported all around the nation every day, Sheriff Gary Painter gathered local, state, federal agencies in hopes of saving lives.
It's the growing problem in the nation. There are people that's being brought into the United States, smuggled in here, and then told that they're going to have to work their way out of it. And they're forced into prostitution, they're forced into labor.
And Midland is right in the middle of it.
We're in a major hub for the trafficking of humans and narcotics, coming up out of Mexico into this area and then being sent out from here to other parts of the nation. We're working.
That's why Sheriff Painter is creating a human rights task force, which he hopes
bring people together, and we got to find the victims. And the victims are the very important ones that we've got to locate.
But finding them is only one part of this job. Victims will also need to start a new life, and this is where Painter believes the task force will help.
You're going to have to find a place for them to live. You've got to find food for them. You've got to find human services. We're trying to bring all of the human services organizations together, the service organizations that provide like Child Protective Services, SAFE, so that we don't have to wait and then try to get it together. We need to get it together now.
So why now?
Why not? I mean, it's The problem is here. We need to address it. We can't hide from it. We can provide a coalition of people that are going to work together to solve this problem.
And although Painter knows Midland is a very small piece of this worldwide problem, he will still do what he can to stop it.
Human slavery is alive and well in this nation, and we've got to do what we can to fight it.
And as Painter said, the most important part of finding the people responsible is to find the victims. Painter said some ways to identify victims is if you find them being ordered around or if they don't have identification. Some might have bruises or other signs of battering. For more information on how you could report a victim or with details on how to join this task force, visit our website at PermianBasin360.com. Reporting live, I'm Jackie Smith, Big 2 News.
All right, Jackie, thank you for that report. In other news, another Permian Basin International Oil Show has come and gone, and it won't be back for another 2 years. This was the show's 70th anniversary, and although the show is over, the committee, along with residents of the Permian Basin, still have a lot to celebrate. Big 2's Micah Glover is live with more. Micah?
Jay, thanks. The Ector County Coliseum is cleared out after an amazing week at the oil show. And although the show is over, Odessa and the surrounding communities will feel the economic impact for years to come.
You know, every 2 years when the Permian Basin International Oil Show comes to town, there's a huge economic impact.
50,000 plus came in for this year's oil show, an amount far too large for Odessa to accommodate on their own. That sent the overflow across West Texas.
Midland, their hotels are booked. Big Springs, Andrews, Crane, McCamey, it goes on and on.
We had a chance to speak with the Midland Hilton Plaza. Not only were they fully booked for all 3 nights of the show, they had the chance to accommodate guests from all over the world, including New Zealand, Europe, and more.
Had a fairly good number of the Chinese representatives that were here that stayed with us, and there were some Europeans here as well.
And for hotels, profits were made off of more than just the unusually large number of guests.
The demand period allowed properties to maximize their rates, and I think every hotel that I've spoken with had a slight rate increase for the days of the show.
And business was just as good for local restaurants.
When the oil show comes to town, it's a great thing. It's great for the whole community, and it's great for Roses, you know. I think we've benefited from like 8 to 10% increase in sales. It's a great thing for all of us, you know.
But the tourists spent money on a lot more than just food and a place to sleep.
You know, everything from the taxi drivers to the gas stations, grocery stores, and all types of small businesses are impacted directly by the oil show.
And the local economic impact will continue to be felt for many years to come.
Businesses have an opportunity to talk to and show their products to people and companies from all over the world, literally. And so we'll see some huge economic benefits off of this, and businesses will for literally years to come.
And the Chamber says they anticipate the show brought in roughly $3.75 million over the last 3 days. Of course, we won't know for sure until we get a final report from the Comptroller's Office later on this year. Reporting live in the studio, Micah Glover, Big 2 News.
All right, thank you, Micah. While the Central Basin avoided most of the severe weather yesterday, many parts of West Texas, including Lubbock, were pounded by severe storms. And the heavy rain and hail couldn't have come at a worse time, as many farmers were just weeks or days away from harvesting their cotton. You're seeing video from Lubbock that was shot this morning. As you can see, there appears to be significant damage to the crops. West Texas cotton growers are holding a press conference this afternoon with several farmers talking about the impact. We'll have more on this story coming up tonight at 10. And Horace joins me now. Horace, you know, it makes me think of the show When Weather Changed History. The cotton crops really took a hit, so a lot of people out there wondering, will the storms continue this weekend?
No storms for that area this weekend, but the winds are going to pick up a little bit, so they'll have to deal with the wind a little bit, but that's not too bad.
Not too bad.
All right, let's take a look at the almanac.